and welcome to the Midday Show live on Yako Television. We're going to be talking about Ivory Coast. Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Look no further than Côte d'Ivoire, a captivating country in West Africa that promises to leave you mesmerized. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural textile, this enchanting destination has something for every traveler, whether you are a nature lover, history buff, or simply seeking a unique and off-the-beaten-path experience. Côte d'Ivoire is waiting to be explored. So let's go pack your bags to Côte d'Ivoire. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You look alluring.
Thank you, and you do too.
You look pleasing to the eyes.
Really?
You
like
look,
you should just
you look sight capturing. You look enticing.
Really?
You look tantalizing.
Oh, Lord.
All this English for you. I have to go out and practice all of this English and come to the set and blow you off with them.
Oh, please.
So it won't be as if I'm the one attacking you this time around. I'm coming with a very soft
I would
tune.
really appreciate it if you don't attack me today.
Okay, no problem. You know I'm your elder brother, so of course I'm supposed to.
Yes, big bro.
I love
Thank
that.
you, big bro.
I love that.
By the time I start asking you start telling me you're not my big bro.
If it is something that I cannot offer
no,
you,
but
I will.
You can do. Don't worry.
You know what I am up to. You know the tax I'm up to.
Anyways, welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
So we'll be talking about Côte d'Ivoire. And then we all know that this is a country where people travel to have fun. People travel to do business. People travel to just do one or two things. And then when you have a reason to travel, then you should travel to Côte d'Ivoire because it's actually a safe place for you to be. It's actually a country that when you go there, you realize you're happy in doing things with them. So then to think about the population of Côte d'Ivoire, I think they have about 26 million people.
True.
Wow. And then when you talk about how, in as much as it's not really big, because you have countries that there are about 200 million people.
DG.
So then if you talk about how they handle their things and all of that, I think based on research, there was something that I came across when it says that Côte d'Ivoire is actually one of the countries that produce cocoa. And they said that out of every chocolate that you eat today in the world, they said there's most of them are from Côte d'Ivoire. So then it's actually interesting to know that they have something to offer. And then when you talk about agriculture, they're actually they are building up on that, and then they're working really hard into producing a lot of things and all of that. So when you talk about the production of the way they do their crafts and all of that, like it's just good to know that they work, the artwork and all of that. Like it's interesting to know that the country, when you find yourself in such country, you can actually do business, you can have fun, like you can go to different places. They have a lot of things for you to exploit. Like based on the opening that I was saying, if you are a traveler, if you are one that wants to have fun, then Côte d'Ivoire should be one of the countries for you to visit.
You know, one thing that God has blessed us Africans with is land.
True. Like
God has given us the blessing of land to stupor, to excess of it. And there is no African country that you go all over the world that you will not see the blessings of probably say agriculture or land.
True.
And you know, when you talk about agriculture and land, that is, there will be a lot of products that such land is likely to produce, and which is why cocoa and some other mineral resources can be gotten, or can be, I think gotten, right, can be gotten from Ivory Coast and then all other African countries. And then aside from that, Côte d'Ivoire is actually a very diverse country in terms of ethnicity, where they have about, say, 60 ethnicity. And aside from that, there are varieties of religions, varieties of traditions, varieties of languages and stuff. But then we cannot rule out the fact that they were being colonized by the French, or let's say by France. And then, you know, when you have a country that colonizes a country, then you should know that their medium of language that is going to be used in that country is, of course, going to be French, of which I had intended us to speak French all through this show. But because of the mercy of God that I have over you,
really?
I said to...
You see what I was talking about, stroking me, right?
No. This is not... I'm not striking you. No, I'm just trying to let people know the obvious.
That
I can speak French.
Please, can you tell me? Please speak. Let me hear you.
Okay, Linda, comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci.
Comment tu m'appelles?
I don't know that one.
You see?
Please, what's that? What is my name?
What's your name?
Linda. Yes.
Comment nationality?
Platis Nigeria. Jesus, Nigeria.
You
Please,
see,
no, you see my
it's
problem.
not even Nigeria, it is Nigerian.
Ah, please.
You see?
But at least I
You
know
see,
something.
these are some of the things that you have to humble yourself and
Yeah, I
learn
think
from
I have
elderly
to.
ones
Yes,
like
I think.
us.
Okay,
Yes.
Grandpa. I'm sorry, Grandpa. Forgive me, Grandpa. I did
So
not
that's
mean to.
that's that. So in essence, Cote d'Ivoire is actually a very unique country, and judging from your opinion, like it's a place that is filled up with a lot of funds. If one happen to be a nature lover, you should visit. And if you happen to be the type that is so curious or so inquisitive to knowing your historical backgrounds as regards Africa as a whole, I think Cote d'Ivoire too is one of those countries you should visit. And then aside from that, Cote d'Ivoire has been ranked as the second most happiest country
In West Africa.
in West Africa. And I was like, wow, so it means these people are so happy in the sense that even if you happen to be going through a lot of
You just keep smiling.
mental challenges, physical challenges, financial challenges, by the time you find yourself in Cote d'Ivoire, you should know that all of those challenges are going to disappear.
True.
Because they will welcome you with that smiling face, they will give you that warm handshake, they will give you that kind of pleasing or comforting welcoming that you will not even know when all of those things vanish. And that's one thing that I think ranks them as one of the happiest country in the world. And aside from that, Cote d'Ivoire people, let me just say Cote d'Ivoire. Help me with that one, please. Help me with that.
The Ivorians.
The Ivorian, yeah, the Ivorians, they're actually nice people in the sense that they welcome you in such a way that you will feel at home. You will be comforted, like you will find solace in whatever thing that they tend to expose to you in terms of accommodation, in terms of food, in terms of pleasantries, in terms of respect, greetings and all. Like they try as much as possible to make you feel at home to stupor, that you would not even want to go back to whatever place that you are from. And they are not the type that really segregates between difference in religions and all of that. They see everybody as one. They see all human beings as one. So you won't go to Cote d'Ivoire today and see the rich people here and then see the poor people there, or maybe you see the Muslim people there or the Christian people there, or they always regard themselves as one. And I think that was one thing that has kept them into being united right from time up to this moment.
When you talk about happy people, and then you see there are countries today that when they have issues, maybe challenges and all of that, then you realize that they have a lot happening with them, and maybe they're not happy, or maybe they're trying to fight that situation and all of that. When you talk about happy people, I just realized that Nigerians are happy people.
We are.
Like when I was saying, I was like, when you want to talk about happy people, in as much as even when Nigerians are going through a lot, like issues and everything, they still find a way around it to be happy. Do you understand? They find a way to make themselves happy, which is a good thing to do. Like you realize people are going through a lot, you realize you're going through challenges or maybe one problem or the other, but then you realize you're just finding a way around it to just make yourself happy. Said you only live once. So if it means for you to just, if it means you should just do something, anything that you're going to do that will make you happy, why not just do it? Just go ahead and do. So far as it's going to make it, it's good for your health. So then when you talk about the second happiest people in West Africa, you talk about Ivory Coast. And then so I'm trying to say, okay, if you understand how they go about things, you as well will be happy. So then if you find yourself in Ivory Coast, you're supposed to be happy no matter what. Like maybe it should be a place where you run away from maybe your issues, your challenges, and then you find yourself in Ivory Coast, then you should be happy. You should just go to maybe one of the places you can visit, maybe one of the tourist attractions, or maybe just a place that you know when you get there you meet happy people, you will talk to people, you'll be happy. You just have to like express yourself the other way. And then when you talk about how they welcome people, and then they welcome you into their homes, and they give you food to eat. So if an Ivorian will invite you to his house, is with one whole mind, like with the whole of his heart, because he wishes to see you smile. The fact that they are happy people is enough reason for another person to be happy. So then they give you a welcoming idea of, okay, come to my house, maybe there's lunch or maybe dinner or maybe breakfast and all of that. And then when you talk about their festivals and events, like they have this Max party that they do, or rather festival that they actually go about, and then they do it like mostly around around March, and I think around March, yes. And then when they have to do that, like they elaborate people who come, like the best dancers and all of that, and then that marks is not just anybody that wears it.
There's a
Based on
mystery. There's a
there's a
mystery
mystery,
behind that
yes,
mask.
behind the marks. And then so this first that starts around, they said it's mostly midnight, and then when women and children sneak out there in their huts, and then they carry out nocturnal rites to exorcise the village of evil spells, or before sunrise the chief appears to explain a lot of things, and then drums pound, and then villagers go into trances. The friendship continues until late afternoon of the next day. So it's more like from midnight till afternoon of the next day that they have fun and then do all sorts of things they want to do. It takes place in the region of Man. Numerous small villages in the region always hold contests to determine the best dancers, and then they pay homage to forest spirits who are embodied in the elaborate marks. So of course, if you talk about having all these activities, all these events, if you find yourself in such a place, why not just go and then enjoy yourself? Why not just go and have the experience? But then it's not just anybody that wears that mask, so one needs to be careful to know if, because I think they said inside the mask, I think there's something about it that is more like spirits or something. Maybe there's a mystery behind the mask and all of that. So then it always tell it's not everybody that wears it. It depends on the activity that is going on at that time. But then mostly it's not everybody that wears the mask. So then people need to be careful, especially for visitors who find themselves there, not to wear the mask for any reason.
You know, one of the mysteries behind that mask is that there are a lot of processes that are involved in, or it's not even process. I think the name should be initiations that are involved in wearing that mask. And if you are just an ordinary person, I would advise you shouldn't wear that mask. True. Because there are a lot of things that you are likely to be possessed with. If you I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this from my head. Like, it's something that I've already researched. Researched on research. Because they said if you are not familiar with probably the face of that mask, you are likely to be turned into that particular bin of which that mask, of the mask that you are wearing. Yeah. So it's a very diabolical thing that one has to be very careful with. And you don't just go to a new place and be involved into the activities like that. At some point, you ask questions of, okay, how is this thing done? What are the consequences of if these things are being done wrongly? Like, you just ask questions, be curious to knowing things outside from what you see, so that you will be knowledgeable enough to as well tell stories or probably share your knowledge to some other person who do not know or have an idea of how all of these things is done. Then aside from that, the mask production, I think, sorry, as regards the mask production, I think Ivory Coast happens to be the largest producers of masks all over the world. Like, there's nowhere in the world that you will see a large production of masks like the way it is in Ivory Coast. I don't want to use the word idol, but
because it's representing
it represents something.
Yes, representing something. So then it depends on you having a contact with that mask.
True.
And then it might affect, so you're representing that thing. So mostly, let's say maybe a dead person or maybe a god or something, and then that is when they produce that mask. So then they always say it represents an entity.
So every mask that is produced has a representation of how someone else lived, or probably an animal or a god or something lived before then. So it's something that carries a weight, or that carries much weight, of which one has to be extremely careful about. Then talking about music, they said what famous reggae artist Alpha Blondin is Cote d'Ivoire best known singer. Though his music is not necessarily representative, but then it's a country's national style that is characterized by a series of melodies and rhythms occurring simultaneously without dominating the other. Like, they then are extremely, like, some of them are musical people in the sense that they sing during weddings, they sing during maybe death ceremony, they sing during festivals, they sing sometimes during birth ceremonies and all of those festivals. And also some of these festivals or ceremonies are one of the things that they sing about, and then they try as much as possible to relate whatever feeling that they have at that time, and then expose them to people that probably are not there, or probably that would want to be also be connected into that rhythm or the lyrics of what they are singing about. So all of the songs that they sing has to connect with the ceremony or whatever event that is happening at that point in time. And they just mentioned someone that happens to be famous at that particular time, which is a reggae musician that sang like almost everywhere, that people really know and all of that. But then I think music also is a thing that that tells more about our cultures and traditions. It tells us about who we are and what we've suffered and what we are likely to witness after. So it's more of like a prophet or someone being inspired to tell about the future and to tell about what have happened in the past, or to tell about what is happening in that present point in time. So music is a very important tool that one should not really take for life for granted, because of the messages that it passes and a lot of cultural beliefs and everything that it reserves for other people to either listen afterwards and then gain stories or gain knowledge from.
Yeah, when you talk about how people should live in Ivory Coast, I just understand that they have basic etiquettes that they always go after, or rather more like traditions that they live with. Then when you talk about eating habits and meal, when you talk about that, the Ivorian nationals, they also have their local eating and cooking habits, of course. And then they are lovable people. They are people who will just invite you to their house. They're very hospitable. And then when you talk about food, and when you talk about, they said the traditional foods, when you realize they want to eat it, like mostly they said it is just natural for you to eat with your fingers. And then it is common for people to eat with their fingers as regards to their cuisine. And then the favorite dishes are always there. We eat it with maybe chicken or maybe fish, cassava, bananas, and all of that. And then they said they welcome you to come and eat with them because they love to make people happy. They said it is typical of the villagers to eat together in a common area. So then when you find out that when you see them, maybe let's say they don't just segregate people, they don't just keep you aside to say okay, they keep maybe the younger ones in a particular place to eat in one maybe in a plate, or maybe and then you realize older ones are together, then they must eat together because they feel okay, since they are hospitable, since they are lovable, since they take family very important, they don't just you're not left out. And then so then they make it very important for women and girls in one group, young boys and then other older ones, to sit and eat together. So then once you are eating with them, they always make sure that you eat your satisfied. And then there was something I think we were reading about them that they said the older ones will actually eat first.
To know if it is okay for the rest to eat.
For the younger ones to eat. So I was like, okay, if the older ones should eat, what if they end up dying? So it means
that's a lesson. That's a lesson.
So you're not supposed to eat it. But that's a good thing because they always want to go with the older ones.
Looking
first.
Out for the younger
They're
ones.
looking out for the younger ones for a better future for them. So then when you talk about how they eat their food and how they take care of people, like it is one of the etiquette that they always respect, that they don't just take out of it. Like they always want to see that they work hand in hand with it, and they make people believe how they love each other and how they eat together.
True. They say the Ivorians are actually hospitable and generous people who are enjoying inviting others to join their meal. And then in a typical villagers sometimes eat together in common area. They believe that food gives the body the nourishment to also unite the community as a whole. And then women and girls are in one group, young boys are in another, and then the men are in third group. That is, they eat in group, just like you said earlier. And then most villagers, they eat on a large mat placed on the ground with their right hand. That is, you don't have the right to eat with your left hand. They say left hand is considered to be dirty. And then villagers will scoop up their food from large bowl placed on the center of the mat for everyone to share, which I see to be a united thing. When you have the whole of your family surrounding either your dining table or a bowl or something, and then everybody will dish from the main bowl, and then you eat to stupor. I think that's one thing that unites family. It's one thing that unites societies and all of that.
Yeah. They're still talking about the food and then eating habits and all of that. They said villagers want to make sure that everyone receives equal amount of food portion. And then coughing and sneezing is not allowed. Like it's more like it's disrespectful. And then if you want to sneeze or you want to cough, you have to excuse yourself from where you're eating. And then you don't just sit to talk while eating or maybe do other things. Once it's time to eat, just concentrate and eat. Once you're done eating, then you can actually have your discussions after eating and all of that.
Remember when we were talking about this? And I was like, I don't think this kind of thing is achievable in this present day generation.
True, when we eat and then we're pressing our phone.
Press phone, you watch movie, you do one thing or the other. Like it's just like I don't know. I just see it like modernization setting in, and then we're not really
like a lot of things are changing. But then in Ivory Coast, it's something that is still working for them, and it hasn't changed for any reason.
You can't tell. Civilization is
anyways,
everywhere.
based on research, based on what we have seen here, this is it. So then you never can tell though. And then we have the dressing etiquette. Then most developing world, people wear both traditional and Western clothes. And then but then the cities and towns, what you're supposed to wear, maybe you can actually wear maybe your jeans and maybe your blue jeans and then the shirt. And however, women still wear traditional brightly colored dresses. Then you just have to look decent. As far as I'm concerned, whatever it is you're wearing, it should be decent.
True.
Because if you dress and then some people are not pleased with it, then it means you're not dressing well. But then people in Ivory Coast actually take it upon themselves for women to wear their blouses with long pieces of clothes that wrap around themselves as skirts, and then for the men as well, just to look decent. We said many men have long beautiful robes for ceremonial occasions when you have to go for a ceremony and all of that. The kita clothing, which originated in both Ghana and Ivory Coast, of course, and then so is worn on special occasions and official ceremonies such as traditional weddings. Kita is handcrafted by weaving cotton or silk threads in a variety of colors, beautifully made between them. As a result, long strips are formed and connected one after the other. So then you see that their clothes are colorful actually, and then this is just more like a tradition for them. Mostly when they're going for weddings, or maybe they have a traditional an activity going on, maybe a festival and all of that. But then you still need to look decent. You still need to wear what is accepted in the community.
You know, aside from that, they said this is regarded as an ancestral cultural heritage that is passed from one generation to another. This is something that has been there right from ages, and then up to this moment is still in existence. You know, this is one of the things that identifies one to be an African. Whichever place this kind of person or this kind of dressing is being seen anywhere in the world, you should know that this person emanates from Africa or emanated from Africa, because that's one of the things that brings us out to the wider world, to showing who we are and how we dress and all of that. So I think it's unique, and it's not just been worn through the elders too, but then even the younger ones, so you see them wearing it and all of those things. So I think it's one thing that is worth sharing from one generation to another.
Yeah, and then we have their greetings etiquette, and then it is obvious that it is fundamental and critical to making a good first impression in their culture. And then they're saying that you must maintain an eye contact with the person you're meeting, and then smile, and then you shake hands. And then they say it's not like something that you do just to strangers or maybe to visitors and all of that. They said it's something that you do repeatedly, like every day. Like you just have to, like when you see somebody, just to maintain that friendship, that relationship, that understanding, that happiness and all of that, you just need to shake hands and then make sure that everything is well with the person while you're asking questions about how the person is doing, maybe his health or maybe his family and all of that. You just have to keep shaking the person, so that even when you meet the person today, you still shake hands with the person, say a lot of things, speak good with the person, and then the next day the same thing again. Like you don't need to say maybe it's something that happens maybe once in a while, maybe just to visitors, but no. So then if you are visiting Ivory Coast, then you should make sure that when you meet one of them, you should just make sure you're greeting them, you're maintaining that eye contact, then you're smiling, and then you're asking questions how the person is doing. You must make sure you know a lot about that person that day. You must make sure you know that that person is actually happy and all of that. So even when the person is not happy, you can actually try to put a smile on the person's face. So then it's just interesting to know that these people in Ivory Coast, like they just want to make sure that people are happy. So then why not just try to put a smile on someone's face today?
You know, greeting is one thing that easily connects one to being friends with another.
True.
When you see, or when you greet a lot, you greet someone consistently consistently, it's a way of you growing that bond between the person and then towards you too. So I think that's one of the things that make them to be friendly and as well be happy with each other, because if you can cultivate the habit of greeting your colleagues, I mean, probably at work or in school or your whatever place you find yourself, I think it's a thing that bounds one together and then unites one together. Disregarding your difference in dialect or languages or ethnicity and stuff. So I think that's one of the things that make them to be the happiest country, or second happiest country in the world, South Africa. So I think it's a very nice thing. Then boiling down to marriage etiquette, I said the Côte d'Ivoire dowry is actually a legitimate, like it's a legitimate thing that is, I think that is acceptable, like is accepted everywhere.
It's a compulsory thing.
And aside from that, I think this is an African thing that you can find everywhere in Africa. If really you want, aside from, I think, okay, it's Indians, that theirs is quite different or opposite from us. But then it's a mandatory thing that you just have to pay a dowry in order to win a girl's over or a woman's over to your own family and all of that. So they really do it. They do more of like a traditional thing in the sense that by the time that dowry is paid, then the bride's family and then the groom's family is all together, and then you pay the dowry, and they do the official handling of such or that person, that girl to you, and then that's the wedding. Unless you have the intention of doing the church wedding or stuff. But as far as they are concerned, in as much as you've paid that traditionally, in as much as you've paid your dowry, you've done your marriage.
And then couples will just dance, eat,
and I think it's a very good way to.
And it's easy.
Yeah, it's easy because all you need to do is just go and get the dowry. The
necessary
things that are required from the groom's family, from the bride's family, you just pay them off, and then Linda will be mine.
Excuse me. Please. Anyways, we have the business etiquette. French is the official language of Cote d'Ivoire, of course, and then business correspondence, catalogs, and advertising materials prepared in French are essential to be readily understood by potential buyers, of course. And then businesses cards, or they are widely used. Members of the expatriate community and those who have received their schooling abroad frequently use academic titles and degrees. So then when you talk about the rule, business customs, and then all of that, perhaps more formal than customs, and then Ivorian managers in large commercial enterprises tend to follow Western business dress code. And then they do, like, basically the business that they do there mostly, I think is mostly in French and all of that, like communication and all of that. Yeah, it's done in French. And but then it's well understood that people, whatever it is that they do, their businesses that they do, maybe let's say the cards that they make to sell, like basically we know they talk about the handmade crafts and all of that. So then they still sell that out to people, and then catalogs and all the things that they do basically for people to understand how they do business with one another based on how they understand what business is. So then they tend to sell what they have to you as an outsider, maybe as a visitor, maybe a traveler who is just passing, or maybe who just came for one thing or the other. You have something to buy for yourself, or rather to give to people who are out there.
You know, talking about that, I would make exception to that because I want to talk about the culture.
I know.
Talk about the culture
of course.
of Cote d'Ivoire. You know, the diversity of culture in Cote d'Ivoire is truly remarkable. And then, just like I said earlier, they have about 60 indigenous ethnic groups, and some of these ethnic groups are more of like are influenced by the neighboring countries like Mali, Ghana, and some of the nearby countries, and all of that they share boundaries with. I know one of the things that tends to influence either cultures and traditions or languages, all of those. It could be as well be seen through marriages, like inter-tribal marriages and all, where you see another tribe that shares the different traditions marrying to another tribe. Like all of these things, you know, is a way of uniting these two tribes or these two languages to becoming one. So there is every tendency of their languages or their traditions clashing with other and or probably influencing other. So when this thing persists and then it becomes a norms in the society, you realize that there will be a version of so language that will be spoken in a very different way to which is being spoken from what is being spoken from the original country or so. So those are one of the reasons why they have numerous diversities. They have numerous ethnicities and numerous languages and numerous as well cultures too. I said different regions of the country have distinct music, like arts, like festivals and languages. And then the Ivorians, they are influenced by neighboring West African countries, just like I've said earlier. And then most dishes include tubers and grains, where food is frequently served with akite, and then grated cassava, and then a popular side dish. Then they said this is a type of, there is a food called maskis, which is a type of braised chicken or fish that is smothered in tomatoes and onions. And then music is also one of the important part of life in Ivory Coast, where each ethnic group has its own interpretation of traditions. Then some rhythms and melodies are universal. That is, you can apply some of these rhythms to whatever language you want or whatever traditions you want and all of that. And then it is also used in a variety of occasions, including weddings and funerals, to express various emotions, various instruments such as the talking drum. We have the pangolo, we have the dimdem. No, pangolo. I'm just trying to picture, or should I say, I'm trying to imagine the sound of that pangolo in my head, like when you have sound like bang pangolo, pangolo. So I feel that's the sound. And then we have other instruments which are made of by hand from indigenous materials such as animal skins, gods, and then horns. And then this the most iconic Ivorian act. Sorry, art is the mask. And then this intricacy and variety of designs are truly impressive, as these cultures symbolizes or they serve many purposes, and then they represent lesser deities, higher spirit, and even the souls of the deceased. That is the masco. They represent higher or probably lesser spirit, the souls of the deceased, and then maybe some of their heroes that have done a significant thing in their society and all. So which is why it is very, very important that you know the mask of who you are wearing. So you don't go and wear another person's mask, or you go and wear one evil spirit mask, and then the person's I don't know whatsoever thing start possessing you,
like
and
the person, or
you just transform into that person. They mean, but I think that's a very good thing, though.
Okay.
You transforming. You, yes.
No,
No,
you.
no.
Say me.
Okay, no, them.
Me.
Because you know why I'm saying this is okay. Let's say for instance that there is this. Just let's say if they have someone that they like or they love, that have done a significant thing in their society, and then they want the person to come back to life. I think it's easy to just go and look for one random person, and then you make the person do that mistake, and then the person come into existence.
Is it a mistake?
I don't know. Just make the person do a mistake so that the person will come back into existence, and then you have your loved person or your loved cherished representative. Like it's that simple. Wow. Only if it is true. Only if it is true.
I don't know about that though, but then based on research, this is what we know, or this is what we have heard, or rather this is what we've actually gotten to know about. So then it's actually interesting to know that when you find yourself in Ivory Coast, there are a lot of things for you to do and for you to learn as well. So when you talk about this creation of the mask and everything, like it's something that they do, more like it is something that they've been known for.
It's a normal thing for
It's a normal thing for them to do and all of that. So then it's interesting to know that. Anyways, we've been saying a lot of things about Ivory Coast, but then I think we'll have to take a time out.
Wow. All right, let's go and come. So I will continue our bags because we are still packing our bags.
Yeah, of course, we still have a lot of things to talk about. Okay, we'll take a time out now. When we come back, we'll tell you more about Ivory Coast. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still the Midday Show live on Yako Television. If you're just joining us, please don't go anywhere. We still have interesting things to tell you about Cote d'Ivoire. Right now, we'll be telling you about things that you should know about Cote d'Ivoire. Welcome back, Tony.
Thank you for having me.
You're always welcome.
Should I say that in French?
No.
Okay.
Okay, we the things you should know about Cote d'Ivoire. They say Cote d'Ivoire gets its name from ivory trade. So then we know that in West Africa that shares borders with Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Liberia, and Guinea. It gets its name for the intensive ivory trade. And of course, that took place on the particular stretch of the coast from the 15th to 17th century. I think I said the name came after the 20th, a bit by the 20th century.
Yeah, the 20th century.
That was when the name came, and then they changed it. But then they still prefer being called the Ivory Coast.
No, Cote d'Ivoire.
The Cote d'Ivoire. Oh, okay, yes. I get that. They prefer Cote d'Ivoire to Ivory Coast. But then, maybe it's more like, I don't know why they still prefer that, actually.
They feel that's the original name.
But they feel that's the original.
Because
maybe that's the
Ivory
name
Coast, Ivory Coast is the interpretation of Cote d'Ivoire in English from French. Because the word Cote d'Ivoire is actually the Ivory Coast in English. So that's why I think they would prefer the original name. Yeah. And judging from what you've just read, the Cote d'Ivoire, or that particular region of the world happens to be a trade coast where exchange were being done and all of those things in the past. And then after sometimes migration of people settling there for the sake of business and all, and then the population start growing, and from there they got the name of Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire, and then that is why they are in existence right now. Supposing there was nothing like trade or anything like exchange and all of those things back then, probably there will be nothing like Cote d'Ivoire today on the surface of the earth. Then we have the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire has two capitals. I said the one of the capitals is Yamoussoukro, and then the Abidjan. The official capital since 1983 is Yamoussoukro. Sorry,
It's not a Yoruba name, please.
Yamoussoukro. Sorry, Yamoussoukro. However, the Abidjan is the administrative capital, and then the officially designated economic capital, and then the chief port and the largest city of Cote d'Ivoire, which is in Abidjan. That is, this capital serve different purposes. If you want to do anything that is in relation to administrative purposes and all, then you should go to Abidjan. But then if it is something that has to do with, say, for the sake of economy and all of those, then you should seek out for Yamoussoukro.
I told you it's not Yoruba name.
Yamoussoukro.
Anyways, the French actually colonized the Ivory Coast. That's in 1842, and then the French colonized it, and then first as a protectorate, then as a former colony in 1893, before making it part of the French Federation of West Africa in 1904. The French left their mark on the country as France to the official language of the Cote d'Ivoire. So in fact, it's the third most populous French-speaking country in the world. Wow.
My friend. Wow.
So that's why they said they speak French mostly, like that's their official language. French-speaking country in the world. They said it is where you only have the Dr. Congo is the most populated French-speaking country in the world, followed by maybe France, and then which their population they have a lot, and then Abidjan is the city with the third biggest French-speaking population.
Republic of Congo.
Okay, the Republic of Congo.
No, Dr. Congo.
No. But I can see some, okay, the Republic of Congo, of course. Because I was like, it's not even making sense to me. Like,
when you mentioned Dr. Congo,
I was like,
there's one reverend. There's one reverend headquarters that bears Dr. Congo. That bears Reverend Congo.
Take it as that. I was like, this doesn't make sense.
Is it that Reverend Congo have been to?
Anyways, it's actually the place, okay, fine, is a French-speaking country, of course. And then so when you understand, the French were the ones who colonized them. So it's interesting to know that, like, based on research, you understand that there are a lot of things you need to know about a particular country before you travel, and then know what to say, how to speak, and a lot of things about the country before you travel.
True. And I said the largest city the largest church in the world is in Cote d'Ivoire.
But they said they should not call them the Ivory Coast.
I think we've already said that now. Said it already. That is, they prefer the original name rather than the name that has been substituted as the meaning. So they feel just like when you have, let's say for instance, you have a state that bears Shinkafa, and then some other persons or some other people just come and say, okay, since Shinkafa means rice, let's call it rice state. So you definitely you will not support that and all of that. So I think that's what is happening to them. So they say we have aside from that, we have the largest church, the whole of the world in Cote d'Ivoire. That is, this church has been constructed between the years of 1958 to 1989, and then the name of the church is referred to as the Basilique Notre Dame. And then it's actually, sorry, I wanted to name or probably pronounce it the French, the French way, but I would rather prefer it the English way, which is the Basilica of Our Lady of Peace. That is, I think it's a Catholic church, and then it's a minor. Sorry, it belongs to a minor city in Cote d'Ivoire, and then I think it has the Guinness World Record as the largest church in the world. And however, it is counted as the overall. Sorry, it is counted in the overall area, and then the territory, and then it has its own separate villa where you do whatever thing you want to do. If you are the priest, if you want to, whatever thing you want to do, I believe you can get it in that villa because of how big and how huge the land mass and everything is. And then they said all of these things are not like the villa is not restricted, or which are not restrictedly part of the church. That is, the villa is different from the church on its own. So you can do whatever thing you want to do, but then you cannot as well. You cannot join the villa and the church together. But then you should know that when you have a church that is big as that, you should have people that would of course maintain it, people that will work as staff and all of those things, and then you should live in the vicinity of that particular church to serve the immediate purpose of what they are supposed to serve, and which I feel emanated the emergence of the villa
Yeah.
in that vicinity. So I think it's very big, and they said it has about 30,000
20,000
square meters, and then it has about 18,000
worshippers.
worshippers.
It's
And I'm like,
interesting to know.
wow,
That's really
that is
big.
because I think we have about 2 million citizens of Cote d'Ivoire or Ivorians, but then we have from that 20 million, 18,000 of them worship in this church, and I'm like, wow, it means
18,000.
hmm,
So where do the rest worship?
they have other churches now. But then for this significant amount of
Yeah,
people to be
true.
worshiping in one
18,000 in
church,
one church.
like
Yeah. It's interesting
you
to
should
know
know that
actually.
the landmass and the even it's not even the landmass, but the church or the building as a whole should be that big
It's very
for
big, of
something
course.
to occupy about 18,000 people. And I'm very sure it's possible that it's possible that it's likely to even occupy even more than that amount of people.
Yeah, true. So we have another fact about Cote d'Ivoire. I said the Cote d'Ivoire is the world's biggest producer of cocoa, of beans, cocoa beans, and then the is the biggest producer of cocoa beans in the world, producing over 2 million tons.
Hmm.
The country's cocoa production accounts for 40% of its export revenue. Wow. The World Cocoa Foundation estimates that out of a population of over 2 point something million, around 8 million Ivorians depend on cocoa production and the cocoa industry for their livelihood.
Wow.
This is interesting to know. Wow, like about how many million people depend on it. This is actually very interesting to know. And then he said there are 5 UNESCO sites again in Cote d'Ivoire. He said the historic town of Grand Bassam is a fine example of a late 19th and early 20th century for colonial town. That's the national park is one of the largest protected areas
Yes.
in West Africa.
Wow.
Anyways, we have the best places to visit in Cote d'Ivoire. We have people who explore the Yamoussoukro, which is the capital of
One of the
Cote d'Ivoire.
capitals.
One of the capitals, since we know they have two capitals. Then Cote d'Ivoire City, known for the Basilica, Presidential Palace, and Grand Mosque. The Ivorian capital is a top choice destination for foodies, people like you, Tony, who can visit Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire, as he said, as one of the places. It is actually a place for foodies to visit,
Must
and
you have
that
to
is somebody
mention my
like you.
name?
They said this charming West African
Okay.
city will appeal to families as well as history buffs, culture and architecture lovers, and Instagrammers. So it's a
Wow.
place for you to visit.
Yeah, for the fact that the presidential palace is situated there, and then they have other, high dignitaries that reside there, you should know that there have a lot of development here in this country. Sorry, in this city. And then aside from that, for the fact that you mentioned food, I think my first arrival in this country I would just head straight to Yamoussoukro.
Yamoussoukro.
Yamoussoukro. I don't know what's my issue with this.
Explore
I don't know
Yamoussoukro.
what's my issue with this with this city or the name of this city, but whether the devil likes it or not, this will be the first visit. This will be the first city
First
I will,
place for you
I will
to visit,
visit.
right?
Yeah, and then we have the Aseni Mafia. He said you should discover the best romantic destination in Cote d'Ivoire, and that the Aseni Mafia also is one of the best places to visit in the country. And then the stunning Ivory Coast coasters resort town of Aseni Mafia is famous as a beach destination for the rich and famous. And you can as well see why, because of the perfect beach and then significant seaside villages of Aseni village. And then this is with a stretch of Atlantic beaches that flow into each other. And then a beach holiday here offers you a perfect mixture of relaxation and sightseeing. When you want to have fun, you want to enjoy yourself, or you are newly married, or maybe
Even
you want
if
to
you're not
propose
newly
to your
married.
girlfriend, or you want to go and reminisce about things of the past, or you want to get ideas, you just want to be liberated in your mind, I beg of you, visit Aseni Mafia, because it's a very nice place to visit, if not for anything, because of the small villa and then the small resort and then the beach that is there is a
the
plus
beaches
for
are
me.
beautiful
It's
and
it's a plus for me, because
Yeah.
I love the surrounding of water. Like I love being
It's
surrounded by
peaceful.
water.
For men looking at it, it's peaceful, and you know that it's relaxing,
And there are a
you
lot of
know that
activities
the
that are
place is
there.
warm and inviting. So if you find yourself in such a place, why not just sit down and enjoy yourself? Why not just
Anybody
be
that has the
happy?
intention of proposing to his or her girlfriend, please let me know. I can be the man holding the camera for you to to cover
I
the.
pity you. You even want to hold camera. Anyways, the Basilica of Our Lady of Peace is actually the church, right? The biggest place for you to worship is in Yamoussoukro, and probably one of the most beautiful churches in Africa, of course. And then they said it's one of the best sightseeing in Cote d'Ivoire, one of the most famous landmarks in the country. And then we have the Moussi National Disc Costumes. Is actually another place, from their clothes, crafts, and ancient costumes of the different people that make up the country. The museum houses most of it. And then it was built in 1981, and it's a wonderful place to get acquainted with the various Ivorian cultures.
You know, I think this is a very nice place to visit because of
See,
how.
cameraman that is going to be holding, see what you be doing.
No, this one is too local now. This one is too local.
This is actually
That kind of cameraman that you will have to be seated with a lot of
and then you be
drinks
doing
at your disposal.
for there, you be saying,
No,
say yes,
no,
say yes.
no, that kind of thing. I can even be the event planner. When he says that we'll have the set of people that will be doing then we'll have a
So-
set of people that will be saying, agree, say yes, say
Say
yes,
yes.
say yes. Then we'll have this set of people like me that will be holding camera and then we'll be coveraging them.
I pity
That's the
you.
event. That's the planning of the event.
Okay.
So places like this are places that you can just go and have fun, and not
Yeah.
just having fun them, but you can as well add knowledge, because I think it's a museum, of course, that you should know museum are places that you see things that are being preserved right from time and all of that. Then we have a day trip to Man. That this year have a holiday in one of the best destinations in Cote d'Ivoire, and on one of the most beautiful places in the country, and like it's one of the most beautiful places in the country, and then it is located in the western Ivory Coast, and then the Man City is nothing short of magical. And then do not miss to visit the Roman Catholic Diocese of Man. I think this Man thing is a name of a town.
Yeah, it's the name of the town.
You know,
for
when I first
Man
heard,
City.
I was like, man, like, are you referring to human being? But then it's actually a name of the name of a place where you can go and experience some of this magic that we just described now. The magic is there. We can't say what exactly, but the magic is there. Go and experience it for yourself.
Yeah, I said visit beaches in Grand Bassam, looking for a dream beach destination for your next holiday. Are you looking for it?
Yes, baby.
Okay, fine. For that ultimate tropical romantic beach getaway,
Oh my God.
the beautiful and stunning beaches of Grand Bassam is the destination. Grand Bassam is an Ivorian resort town filled with idyllic beaches stretching along the Atlantic coastline. Visitors can enjoy the amazing view of the crystal clear waters. Like when you talk about crystal clear, like, oh, just imagine how
Something clean.
the feel of the warm beach sand on their feet and tropical ambience of Grand Bassam. So this is actually one of the places that one should visit, maybe with loved ones, maybe with your wife,
Families
and then just to family and friends, just to have fun. They said it's crystal clear, and then you understand how interesting and how it's welcoming and how you just go, how peaceful it looks and how this feel you have when you step on it and all of that. So another place for people to visit and all of that. They have a lot of places to visit in Ivory Coast. In case you want to learn a lot, why not just do your research and know most of the places to visit when you get to Ivory Coast. So we'll be talking about food. I know that we cannot talk about anything about Ivory Coast and then we don't tell you at least maybe 2 or 3 of their meals, at least something that you know when you travel to Ivory Coast. You should just, you're likely to eat. So I think one of the first food that here we have the aloko. It's a popular street food, and then it's consisting of ripe plantains cut into small slices, then fried and salted in palm oil, served alongside. I think somebody was saying he wanted to make this ripe plantain with palm oil, sauced with onions and chili.
I was somebody.
Okay, I need to say it to yourself.
I was
And then
somebody.
the dish gets its name from the Bole, an Akan ethnic group in the eastern Ivory Coast, word for loco, which indicates when a plantain is ripe. So then a loco can be consumed alone as a snack, and it's often accompanied by crushed chili and braised chicken, a hard-boiled egg, or freshly grilled fish, and a side dish.
Ooh, wow. I think it was when we were talking about this thing that I was salivating, and then the idea of me preparing something like this come into my mind.
Yeah, of course.
Because of the description of how the whole thing is being prepared and all. So for one to describe something like this, you should know that it is very, like, it's going to be so delicious and tasteful. And aside from that, we have the fufu. that the fufu is a type of huge dumpling prepared using a mixture of cassava and green plantain flour, and then the both ingredients are combined in equal portions with water and then cooked on a pan over a low flame. Then this prepared mixture is then moistened using the lukewarm water and then shaped into a ball. It is eaten with fingers and then is used to scoop up other food on the plate, particularly sauce and
This
soup.
looks very inviting.
My dear sister.
I can't just wait to dive on this.
My dear sister.
Please, I'm not your sister.
What are you?
Grandpa. Anyways, we have another meal which is the garba. Garba is oh wow, garba. This is somebody's name. Garba is widely consumed by Ivorian street food dish that consists of atik along with deep fried pieces of tuna. Another meal again, we have the peanut butter stew, and then we have the plakali. So they have different meals that one can actually want to taste because you find yourself in a country that you need to explore.
There are other foods
They have,
you
yeah,
are supposed you are meant to come across, but I think these are the basic ones, and probably there are some other food that are even more more delicious than this one, but then you have to go there and experience it
yourself and just have a taste. Anyways, I think we've come to the end of this today. Thank you, Tony, for doing this.
Always
pride, that's what we do.
It's not pride, it is called self-esteem.
Wow. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Anyways, thank you. It's always a pleasure to do this with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, viewers, for watching this episode with us. Just like the Ivorians, try to put a smile on someone's face today. At least it will make them happy. Have a blessed day.